British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell will appeal her conviction for setting up teenage girls to have sexual encounters with financier Jeffrey Epstein. Jurors deliberated for 5 full days before finding Maxwell guilty on 5 of 6 counts. Joining me now live is legal ethics expert at NYU School of Law, Stephen Gillers. Stephen, thank you for joining us. Ghislaine Maxwell is going to appeal this decision. What grounds does she have to appeal?
It's hard to figure out what they will be. One that broke late in the deliberations is that the judge told the jury that if they could not agree by the New Year's, they would have to sit across the weekend of New Year's. Minutes later, they came back with a guilty verdict. So I imagine she'll argue that they were unfairly pressured to deliver a verdict, and that if they had had more time, it would have been different. Otherwise, there may be evidentiary rulings that the judge made that they believe were wrong and that contributed to a wrong verdict. But it's going to be an uphill battle because very few appeals in criminal cases in federal court in New York succeed.
So what do you think her lawyers will argue in the appeal case?
They'll argue that the judge allowed in evidence she should not have and prohibited evidence that Maxwell wanted to introduce, that Maxwell didn't have enough time to present her defense, that the judge rushed it because of fear that she would lose the jury to COVID infections. Those are all the most obvious arguments, but again, watching the trial across the weeks, I didn't see that any of them has a great likelihood of success.
It's been really fascinating to watch it all play out. There has been some suggestions that Ghislaine Maxwell could be forced to name names or detail other people, if any, that were involved in the abuse. Would that be her best chance at reducing a sentence?
Well, that's interesting. So far as we know, she did not offer to cooperate and identify others. We don't know that for sure. Any such offer would be secret. Now she might offer to be a witness against others in an effort to keep her sentence lower than it otherwise would be. Whether or not the government is willing to accept that deal is another question. What she has to offer is uncertain.
She's still facing 2 perjury charges. What happens with those?
Well, I think the government will just keep those in abeyance until her sentencing is complete, and then preferably to wait until the case is final, wait until there's an appeal and an affirmance of the conviction. And if at that point she's out of any avenue of reversal, then I think the government might just give up on the perjury charge, because even if she's convicted, it will not lengthen her prison sentence. So it would be for no practical purpose to go ahead.
A fascinating case and interesting to see where it ends up. Stephen Gillers, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, you bet.